Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Hirsch. I work for the Eclipse Foundation in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Today we are running a webinar on Eclipse Tools for Cloud Foundry. This is part of our efforts to promote the Eclipse Neon release, which takes place tomorrow, June 22nd. Today we have with us Elson, Yuen, and Nieraj, Singh. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a bit of a presentation. There will be a demo component, and there will be, at the last 5 minutes of the presentation, some time for questions. So you can interact with us either on Twitter using hashtag #EclipseNeon and send us your questions. You can email us at marketing@eclipse.org, or you can comment on the Google Hangout, and we will try to respond either during the webinar or in the last 5 minutes. So a bit of background on our two presenters today. Elson is the architect for WebSphere Application Server Tools, which is responsible for integration between the WebSphere Application Server Tool for Eclipse, WDT, and WebSphere Application Server. And Nieraj is a senior MTS at Pivotal Software and has been developing Cloud Foundry and Spring Eclipse tools for the past 6 years. So the presentation will kick off with Elson. Over to you.
Okay, thanks. Hello, everyone. So we are going to talk about this session is for the Eclipse Tools for Cloud Foundry. So let me just briefly introduce myself, as Kate has mentioned before. I've been involved in the open source project for a long time. I'm the project lead for the Eclipse Tools for Cloud Foundry, which is the tools that we're going to talk about today, and also the WTP server tools as well. On the production side, I'm also the architect for the IBM Eclipse tools for Bluemix, and also the WDT, which is the WebSphere development tools on the server tooling stuff. I've been doing server tools stuff for more than 15 years. So just to give you a brief introduction on, a brief introduction of what we are going to do today, we will just have a very quick overview on Cloud Foundry itself, just to kick off the discussion, making sure everyone is on par and understand what Cloud Foundry is, because this is the main area that we're doing integration for these tools. And the other is then we will go over the tools itself and telling you what those are, and then we'll be talking about the functions on the tools. After that, Nieraj, which is the other presenter, he will introduce himself later. Then he will be doing a demo on the tools itself to show you some basic functions, and also then after that, then we'll be going back and show you like one of the extensions examples that you can see from the framework, and after that it will be a Q&A session. So introduction to Cloud Foundry. So what Cloud Foundry is, in a very short term, I'm not going to go into too much details on that. Cloud Foundry is the open platform as a service. So it allows you to use different clouds and runtimes and frameworks to interact with, on the cloud and publish your applications to them. So the reason that we're saying open is because you actually have got a lot of different ways that you can do it. Like on this slide, it shows like public cloud, private cloud, and micro clouds, and in some cases hybrid cloud as well. And then you can interact with different services that you have that provide functions that you want, and you don't have to these are ready built functions that you don't have to make your own. Some of the very good examples of services are database examples, and maybe in the IBM cases it has cognitive like Watson services as well. Frameworks, it actually allows you to run many different type of stuff. So you can run Java, you can run Java EE applications, Spring Boot applications, Node.js as well. So Grails, basically many things that you can do as long as someone has created a build pack for it as well. So we talk about choices because Cloud Foundry itself is actually an open source project. So there's actually many companies that is involved in it. I think we just show some brief, a simple list of it. But the main point for that is once you are on a Cloud Foundry system, as long as you put your applications, you've got it running and you don't use any vendor-specific stuff, then you can actually bring to another Cloud Foundry system, and you can actually run it in the exact same way. That's what the open source Cloud Foundry framework allows you to do. So without going into too much details on Cloud Foundry, for which Yeah, so we'll go straight to the tools itself. So the tools is Eclipse Tools for Cloud Foundry. What is this? So it's actually, the tools itself is actually a tools that you can readily use. It's a common reusable tools that allows you to deploy your applications. It also provides like scaling and service features that allows you to do various different things. The main goal is to allow you to easily interact with the Cloud Foundry, with a Cloud Foundry server without leaving your IDE. Traditional Cloud Foundry users will be using command lines for doing CF push for pushing the application. But if you have your applications developed in Eclipse, so why do you have to do that? So let's do directly from Eclipse. So Ivan itself is a tool. It also is a framework. It's a framework that allows third-party vendors to actually contribute to the framework. So it allows you to define your own branding so that you can actually create a server type of your own and also interacting with the Cloud Foundry server of your choice for the specific vendors and introducing special things to it. In the extension part of the demo, we'll show how the framework works as well. So just to give you a bit of history to see where we are coming from, we are starting from 2012. This project actually started, so this project has been there for a while. Originally, it's actually part of the Eclipse Cloud, part of the Cloud Foundry Foundation, not under the Eclipse project yet. It's in open source since 2012 already. On 2015, on August, we actually start to move to become an Eclipse project, which is a good move. That's what we think. It actually is actually stored under the Eclipse Cloud Development ECD project under Eclipse. So this year is an exciting year because this is the first year that we actually include ourselves in an Eclipse release. So we are now officially part of the Neon simultaneous release, and we are also packaged as part of the Neon JEE package. So in order to get the tools, all you need to do is to download the Neon JEE package, and you'll get our tools installed already. So to give you a bit of landscape of how does the tools actually start up. So you can start from Eclipse and WTP, and this is our base for our tools. We actually integrate with the WTP project a lot. We've got the Eclipse Tools for Cloud Foundry, which is a separate list of plugins that can be installed on the Eclipse, or if you get the JEE package, you'll have it as well. This entire stack contributes to all the functions that you need for the Cloud Foundry. So other than that, we talk about is a framework. So users can actually install, vendors can actually introduce their own vendor-specific extensions. Like Pivotal has got the CF tools in there, or the Spring Boot tools, and then we've got the IBM has got the Bluemix tools installed on top of that. So these are the extensions that you can build on top, so you can talk to specific vendors of Cloud Foundry that you want to introduce extra functions for that vendor. So this is a very brief overview on the functions provided for the tools. Nieraj will be showing the demo for it, so I wouldn't go down into too much detail, but just to give you a flavor on the list of what we can do. So you can actually, the main goal is definitely for deploying and testing your application directly from Eclipse, which means that let's say if you have got an application developed on your local Eclipse environment, you test it on your local server, things are good, you can actually deploy your application to the Cloud Foundry servers and run it on the cloud directly from Eclipse. Other than that, you can also see and control your applications from the Cloud Foundry. So you are allowed to control not only the applications that you publish from Eclipse, but also any applications that you have running on your account as well. We also provide managing services that allows you to create and delete services and listing the services that's controlled on your space, and also binding app services to your application and then binding it. Other than that, we also provide scaling capability that allows you to scale, increasing the memory or increasing the number of instances that you have for your application. And then other than that, in certain Cloud Foundry targets, you can also do debugging functions as well. Debug is an area that in some cases vendors can be implementing on using their specific things as well. So without further ado, let's go straight to the demo, and then Niraj, the other presenter, will be doing the demo. So I'll pass on to Niraj to talk about himself first.
So my name is Nieraj Singh. I'm a software developer for Pivotal. Today I will be demoing Cloud Foundry tools. I'll be showing the general features of Cloud Foundry tools. In particular, I'll be showing how to deploy an application to Cloud Foundry from Eclipse. So I'll start the demo. To begin, you first need a Cloud Foundry account. You can get that through various providers, including Bluemix or Pivotal Web Services. You also need Eclipse Neon JEE Package. Cloud Foundry Tools is included in the Neon JEE Package and does not require further tool installation. The tools can be used out of the box. And finally, you need a dynamic web project. Cloud Foundry Tools supports dynamic web projects out of the box, but there are other tools that extend Cloud Foundry Tools that support additional application types. For this demo, however, I will be showing deployment of a dynamic web project. Cloud Foundry Tools integrates with web tools, and a Cloud Foundry target is represented by a server instance. So the first step to deploy an application to Cloud Foundry, we first need to create a Cloud Foundry server instance. This is done through the New Server Wizard. In the New Server Wizard, we select Cloud Foundry server type, and we can also specify a name for the server instance. On the next page, we need to specify the URL, the Cloud Foundry target that we want to connect to. You can do that through Manage Cloud, where you can add or remove URLs. You also need to specify your credentials. Once you do that, you can validate your account. And the final step is to select a cloud space where you want to deploy your application. That can be done by clicking Next. This shows a list of all the organizations and spaces for your account. So I am selecting Staging, and I click Finish to create the server instance. Once it's created, it will appear in the service view, and now we can proceed with the application deployment. To do that, it's a simple step of dragging and dropping the project onto the server instance. This opens the application deployment wizard, where you can specify application deployment details, for example, the name of the application. On the next page, you can specify the application URL as well as the memory. You can also change the URL and validate to ensure that the URL has not been used by another application. On the next page, you can create a service and bind the service to the application during the deployment process. To do so, we open the Add Service wizard. This will show all the available services that you can create on the left side. The list will vary based on which Cloud Foundry you're connected to. Here we're seeing a list of services for Pivotal Web Services. To create a service instance, we double-click on the service that we want. and it'll show up on the right side. We can change the service instance name. We can also specify a plan. Free plans appear first. Once we've specified the service instance that we want to create, it will also appear as checked, meaning that it will automatically be bound to the application during the deployment process. You can also uncheck it if you do not want to bind the service to the application. Finally, on the last page, if necessary, you can specify environment variables for your application. To begin the deployment, we just click Finish. Once the deployment starts, the Eclipse console will start to show progress. It will show the application being created. It will also show the application being started. And it will also start to stream logs from Cloud Foundry. For example, it's now streaming staging logs. In the server view, it will also show that the application is starting. If you expand the server instance, you'll see the application in the underneath the server instance, and it's showing as starting. It also shows as synchronized. When the application starts and is running, the starting state will switch over to started, as you can see here, and it will also indicate that in the console that the application is running. Now, to manage the application, we open the Cloud Foundry server editor. To do that, you can double-click on the server instance or the application. This opens the Cloud Foundry editor, which has two tabs. The overview shows information about the cloud space that you're connected to. And the Application and Services tab is the main UI for managing application and services. On the left side, it will show all the applications that are currently deployed in this space. It will also show all the service instances that are available to bind to an application. Once you select an application on the right side, it'll give you options to perform operations on the application. So the first thing you want to do is navigate to the applications page. We do that by clicking on the link here. It's a simple web app, but you can see it right here. So we can also edit the URLs. If you navigate back, you can see that the change takes effect immediately. In addition, you can also scale the application. You can increase the number of running instances. You can also change the memory. You can edit the environment variables. You can also perform various operations on the application. You can restart the application. You can stop the application. Restart will simply restart the application in Cloud Foundry without pushing any project files. You can also push and update and restart if you want to synchronize your project with the application. Push will do a clean push of all the project files, whereas update and restart will only push files that have changed. You can also debug the application, which I will show later. Further down, you see a list of bound services for the application, and finally, you also see some stats for the running instance of the application, so it shows CPU, memory, and disk usage. I will now show how to push project changes to the application. As mentioned before, you can do it through the push and update restart operations, but you can also do it through the publish operation in the service view. So I'll go ahead and make a change to my project. And we noticed that the state in the server's view changed from synchronized to republish, meaning that the tools will automatically detect when there are unpublished changes in the project. To publish them, we simply right-click on the server instance and click Publish. And now we see after the application has been pushed that it's now back to synchronized, and it's also again back in starting state as it's starting again. And once the app is started, it will indicate that here in the service view as well as in the console. So we go back to our page here, reload it, you can see the change right there. Another feature that I'd like to show is the ability to persist deployment properties for an application. That's done by generating a manifest.yaml file. That can be done by clicking on the Save button. And now this will generate a manifest YAML. If you open it, you can see the deployment properties for the application are there. Another feature is the service management, which you can do from the same editor. So you can create additional services here, just like you did in the wizard. So we'll create another one. And to bind the service, you can simply drag and drop the service instance over to the right side, and that will bind it to the application. To unbind a service from an application, we right-click on it and just select Unbind. Another feature is the ability to link and unlink a project to existing applications in Cloud Foundry. This application is already linked to the project, but you can unlink it. Once it's unlinked to the project, there are certain operations that are disabled. You can no longer push or update and restart since it's no longer associated to a project. If you have other projects in your workspace, you could link your application to those other projects using the link with project feature. Once it's linked again to a project, we once again see that push, update, restart, and debug are enabled again. The final feature that I'd like to show is debug. Debug is only available on certain Cloud Foundry, those that use Diego and support SSH. Pivotal Web Services supports SSH, so therefore the debug button is enabled. To debug an application, we'll go back to our file here. This breakpoint. So now we want to start the application in debug mode. Just click on debug. Now this will restart the application. In addition to showing staging and other log content from Cloud Foundry, we will also see some log content regarding the SSH connection. Cloud Foundry tools uses SSH to establish a connection between the debugger and the application. So we can see here that the SSH session has been established and it has successfully connected. So now we can go back to our page here and reload it. And we can see that the debugger is connected. We can also make a change. See the change right here. So to conclude, the demo shows that it's quite easy to deploy an application to Cloud Foundry. All you have to do is simply drag and drop it onto a server instance. It's also easy to manage that through one UI. And also, Cloud Foundry Tools is a framework, and there are other tools that extend it. For example, Bluemix and Spring Tool Suite, and they do support other application types. In the case of Spring Tool Suite, it also supports Spring Boot applications, and Bluemix supports Node.js. So now I will hand this over to Elson to present Bluemix tools.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, thanks. So, so the next session is just to show you one of the examples, because we talk about the Eclipse Cloud Tools for Cloud Foundry. The CFT project is actually also a framework. So we would like to show you how an extension actually shows up. So let's go to Bluemix. So this is what we call the IBM Eclipse Tools for Bluemix. It's actually an extension, vendor extension that has been installed and that has been built based on the CFT project. So if you have something like that, then if you implement your own branding extensions, if you go to new servers, you can actually see one of your own server type. You can see everything, including icons and name, server name, are actually customized. If you do next, you see the same page as what Nieraj showed you before, but as an extension, you can actually fill in the default URLs for you. For example, in this case, we are actually even dynamically getting all this list of data centers or regions. In case there's new data centers that show up, we can actually query on the live. There's a specific sign-up button that you can actually click on that will bring you to the render-specific sign-ups in there. So these are, and notice the icons and everything has been changed. So these are the type of extension that you can actually expect. So from the user's perspective, they may not even notice it's actually built based on CFT at all. So it's all very render centric. Once you have an extension, you also have the same type of editors that you're showing, the same that Nieraj has showed you for general Cloud Foundry. If you do create services, it will actually query on the live on the services that you have, just like the normal Cloud Foundry servers. So all of these are actually available as an extension, but you get the exact same look and feel. You get the exact same functionality, but you can actually introduce different look and feels on your vendors. So one of the things that I want to show today is some of the interesting cases, because we talk about possibilities on the framework. So by default, the framework support Java EE applications and some other like standalone jars. For Linux, we also introduced like Node.js applications. So I think it will be interesting to show some of the functions that you can actually see how flexible this framework is. So I've got a very awesome app, a Node.js applications. It's actually running. Let me just open our homepage and given like this app is so awesome, it just tells you I'm awesome. It's a very simple application actually, but I want to show you some of the functions like extensions that vendors can actually provide. For example, debugging JavaScript. So what we have done in Bluemix is we added new launch JavaScript debugger functions in there that allows you to debug JavaScript. So I'll show you Java applications debug. So let's take a look at Node.js application debug. So the Node.js application debug is actually using the Chrome V8 extension. You notice that the debugger is actually showing up on Chrome. And then when you do a launch, it will actually show you the app.js file. That's the main app. You can see this app is extremely simple. So let's set a breakpoint because this is a debugger. Let's set a breakpoint in here. So if I reload the page, you'll notice a notification actually shows up at the bottom. You can click on this and it brings you right back to the debugger. And then you can see that the line that highlighted, which is actually stopping at that breakpoint. Given that this is an awesome app, let's make it more awesome. Of course, something awesome needs to be bolder, so let's change that. Once I save, you notice the stack actually goes back, so you will be expecting a Node.js debugger same as anything else. Then you can actually step through the code. You can actually inspect variables, just like any other debuggers have. This is a very simple application. Let me just run through it, and then you can see, switching back to the browser, you can actually see that the changes actually take place. So you can know that like vendors can actually create their own debug functions in there as well. So let's move on to something else. Let me see the time. Okay, I think we're still okay. So I can show you one more thing for that. So I'll show you an application update functions. In Bluemix, we also provide something called the incremental publish support, for which let's say I've got a very simple Java EE application in there. Is a servlet. All it does is it's got a list of 4 things in there, and then it basically go to the MongoDB. It's using a MongoDB services, and then it will actually put all the information from the list and insert it into a database, and then extract it back out and then print it out to the page. So let's run this application. So you notice this application. Let me put up the font size a little bit for easy seeing. You notice I set 4 items before, but now it's showing 3. So why is that? So let's take a look at the code. And it turns out that I intentionally injected a bug in there, for which is actually removing the last item in there. So let's change the let's comment out that line and then do a save. So what we have done is for Bluemix, we've got something called incremental publish. We've got something called the development mode. For an application, you can actually enable development mode. And when you do that, you notice the status will be saying developing. For the purpose of the time, I actually turned this application in development mode already. And then you can see it's developing. Given that I just make a change, you say republish. So now let's do a republish and see what's the difference. This incremental publish is actually fairly quick. It doesn't need to go through any of the staging or anything like that before. It's just taking a matter of seconds now. The publish is actually completed. Let's go back to the page and do a refresh. And you can see the 4 items actually show us up. So you can see that you actually got, as a Cloud Foundry tools, we actually got a lot of, we can actually get a lot of different variants of your development tools, including incremental publish and debugging functions, and of course publishing of the applications. So these are the main things that I want to show, just to show you some flexibility. So we talk about general applications, like, for example, Java EE application, Node.js application. You can actually deploy, vendors can actually do something like deploy the entire server. I've got WDT, what's the development tools. There's a local library servers. So if I've got my local library servers actually testing okay, and I actually got a bunch of applications, including my configuration that I want to publish to it, I can actually make I can actually drag this application up, and then I can just deploy as an application. And what that includes is include your application and also your server configuration. And then you can actually deploy just like any other normal applications in there. So I wouldn't go through too much on that, just to show you how flexible this this framework is. You can, as a vendor, you can actually plug in a lot of different plug points in there. So this concludes the last part of the extension of the demo. So let's go back to our slides. So talk about the project. We say we are actually, Neon is our first releases in there. We are part of the Eclipse project. So in case you're interested, you can always visit our project page, www.eclipse.org/cft. So this will bring you to our main Eclipse page. You can see all our project plan in there, see when our schedules are. You can actually get our download of the drivers. You also got information regarding to how to get started with, in case you're interested in contributing back to the framework. As a regular Eclipse project, in case you have defects and enhancements that you want to provide to us, or report to us, you can just open a Bugzilla defects under ECD/CFT project. And then our source code is on GitHub, so do feel free to take a look at it, play around with it, do customizations, or even some little bug fixes and things to us. To contact us, you can actually go to the mailing list. We've got a mailing list. Nieraj and I are monitoring the mailing list as well. So feel free to talk to us in case you have any concern questions on the framework itself. So other than that, just like any other Eclipse project, your involvement is very welcome. So feel free to do code contribution, enhancements, and bug reports to us. We are really looking forward for people to join our project and actually stay active on our project as well. So those are pretty much the same I think those are the things that I want to talk about and we want to do present on the demos. So just to do a quick conclusion, so we talk about what Cloud Foundry is in this session. We briefly talk about we do an overview on the Cloud Foundry Eclipse tools. We also show some demos on the actual tools that you can download and live in action. We show you some of the vendor-specific extensions that allows you to give you a flavor on how flexible this framework is. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing you for giving out for staying joining the project and contributing code back to us. And Nieraj and I will be really happy to see that. So I think that's it. Let's go to questions and answers.
So before we conclude, I don't see any questions lined up in our queue at the moment. So we do have about 5 minutes left if anyone does want to submit a question that you'd like answered live in the webinar. Otherwise, you can send us questions, again, to Twitter using #EclipseNeon. You can send us questions to marketing@eclipse.org, or you can comment on the YouTube video or the Google Hangout, and we'll make sure that those questions get answered. A few quick reminders before we sign off as well. The Neon release, like I said at the start of the webinar, will be taking place tomorrow, June 22nd. So please head over to eclipse.org/neon to see what's new with this release. We do have 3 remaining Neon release webinars scheduled for the remainder of the week. So every day this week we have one everyone. The upcoming sessions are PDT, so PHP developer tools, automated error reporting, and Docker tooling. Those are the 3 topics that we'll be covering. Tomorrow we'll be covering the PHP PDT developer tools. Beyond that, I just wanted to thank, again, Nieraj and Elson for this very informative and very great presentation and for their time and contribution. And if there are any questions, we'll give you another minute or so to submit them. Otherwise, that'll be it for today. So, was there anything else, Elson or Nieraj, that you wanted to say?
No, I just want to say thank you for the participants and for joining this session.
No problem. Thank you. So yeah, I don't see any other questions coming in. So what we'll do is, like I said, please submit those questions. If you do have any, comment on the YouTube video, let us know. We'll make sure they get answered. And stay tuned for the upcoming webinars. All right, signing off. Thank you.